Welcome to this second Bea World panel. I'm Hans Etman of Masters in Moderation, and today we'll be talking about female leadership. And in our panel, we have 5 giants of the events industry, and I give a warm welcome to our first guest, Ulrike Tondorf, Head of Live and Experience Branding at Bea. Welcome, Ulrike.
Hello. Hi.
Hi, Ulrike. Good to see you. And you're not the only one in our panel, because I also want to welcome Stefanie Dubois, Head of Events at SAP. Nice to see you, Stefanie. Hi.
Hi.
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Okay.
Okay, good. And there's 3 other panelists I'd like to introduce to you. The third one I'd like you to meet is Tata Burduli. Tata is the brand director of the Georgian Football Federation. Hi, Tata.
Hello, my friend. Hello.
Good to see you. And you have the Georgian Football Federation flags behind you, I see.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
nice. Our next guest is Stefanie Winter. Stefanie is the head of events at Siemens. Nice to see you, Stefanie.
Hi, nice to see you.
Good to see you. And our last guest in this panel is Angeles Moreno. Angeles is the founder and director of The Creative Dots. Hi, Angeles.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Good, very
Good
good.
to see you all. Good to see you. And immediately I see 2 more or less similar names in our panel. There's Stefanie Dubois and there's Stefanie Winter. How can I make the distinction between the 2 of you if you're both called Stefanie? Can I call you Steffi Winter?
Sure, you're welcome.
That could be a solution. So good to see you all. Ulrike, I think our audience knows you because you were the president of the jury, of the corporate jury, last year at the Bea World Experience Festival. And would you like me to introduce you all to the new president of the corporate jury?
I just was one of the vice presidents, just to make that clear. But
Okay.
yes, actually, I'm happy to introduce a new one if you want. So this year it's Stefanie Dubois from SAP.
Okay. So we're very glad to have you here, Stefanie.
Very honored. Thank you.
It's a very a special edition, of course. Bea World will be online this year. So you will be the first fully online president of the jury.
Correct.
Isn't that great?
Looking forward to it.
And a female one, right?
And a female one. That's female leadership, isn't it? So is this the proof that it exists, female leadership? Maybe a question to you all to begin with. Can I see hands? Who of you thinks female leadership exists? Can I see your hands? A small bit, okay. Steffi, after some thought, you said, well, I think it exists. Can you explain to us what it is, female leadership?
Well, I think it has been always there. It's in the ancient times, it started with the family and it started with villages, but it always had been there. And there had been cultures where it always had been there. In our Western culture, somehow it disappeared for a while. Also, I still think it had been there, only partially. And there are some sectors where it's really increasing right now, and there are sectors that are a bit behind yet.
Can you give examples from that?
I would say if you look at that panel, communication is quite female already. If you look at the field of engineering or politics, there's still room for improvement.
Tata, football, is that a female or a male world? A bit of a stupid question, I think.
Actually, female participation in football is rapidly growing in world over, but still a lot of things to do to grow participation from women's part in football industry. But I guess it's growing now, and it's giving us much more opportunities to find ourselves in football industry. Be motivated, to be passionate, to be dedicated to your job. So yeah, I guess yes.
Yeah, female football is growing fast, and I'm a huge fan of our Dutch female football team. But how about female leadership in football? Are you surrounded by many other female leaders in your football federation?
actually, there is research for worldwide, and there is only 8% of leaders in football are women. So it's like a number speaks a lot, but still, in my federation, in Georgian Football Federation, a lot of part of the staff are women, and they are really, really good. And yeah, we are keeping these numbers really clear, but still there are a lot of professionals. It's not only about quotas, you know. It's not only about numbers. It's about quality. So
It's about quality as well, yeah. And worldwide, if you look at numbers, still a lot of work has to be done.
Yes.
Angeles, I did not see you raise your hand on my question. Does it exist, female leadership? What's your opinion?
Well, unfortunately, I don't think it exists. It's not a reality right now. I think there are incredible potential, great women out there to be and became leaders. But I think if I look at the numbers, and we have an average in board positions of 20. You go from Japan, from 8% of women in the board positions, to Sweden, which is one of the biggest percentage on a 39, which is like, wow. Then leadership is not there yet. So, but we, as I told you before, I think in a moment of change, it's the moment to change also that.
Okay.
Because the talent is there.
Ulrike, the talent is there. What do you see in your surroundings? You're in Germany. Is Germany a female leadership country, or doesn't it really have something to do with where you are in the world, if female leadership exists or not?
I think it depends on the field you are working in, as Steffi mentioned already in the beginning, depending on where you work. And in addition, it's possibly also about the culture of the company you're working in, right? So some companies actually change their cultures, or it is already part of their culture to be diverse and include everybody, all cultures, and are working, with different cultures in one team. So I think it all depends on that, or how intensive that it works out, if it works out well, and how it is, it comes to life.
Okay, and
in
well?
I think in live communication, I think there is a big group of women leading, and that may help also in this discussion, right, to come to the next level.
Yeah, Stefanie Dubois, there's a large group of women leading in the events industry, Ulrike tells us. Something I recognize at least. How's that in SAP? You're a worldwide company, you have to deal with different cultures and different places, and you see events all over the world. How about female leadership in your opinion?
So in the event world and in the marketing world, yes. Women are very well represented, if not overrepresented. As a company, we're still a tech company with many engineers, and in that side of the company, then women are very much underrepresented. Overall, 30% of the employees are women, and about 20% of the leadership is women.
So that's not balanced. No, and maybe immediate question by Remy. Thank you for the question, Remy. Remy asks you, do you think there's a glass ceiling for female leaders?
I'm sorry, who's the question for?
I see Uncle is nodding.
There is definitely a glass ceiling that we need to start fighting against and avoiding that many bias and that many assumptions that we have. And we were talking in the preparation also of the panel that we need to start educating girls from different perspectives and to be ready for a different future. And technology is the future, and there is a very lack of representation of females in these areas. And for future professions. So that's why I'm saying that now is the moment to change, because it's the future looks very difficult for females if we don't make strong changes for the future.
Can you explain that? Is this a more difficult period for female leaders than it was before the COVID pandemic?
Well, there are United Nations just raise their hands and say that the COVID is impacting a lot into females due to the different situations that are happening in the lockdowns, for example. For example, also yesterday was there is a report that in the United States, 45% of women said that it's far much more difficult in the new digital economy to participate in meetings. For example, as a female, they don't hear their voice so much to be listened into the digital environments and digital meetings and so on. So I think it's a big topic that we need to tackle and be ready to make some strong changes, because otherwise I see the future very unpromising. And I was saying yesterday, the number of engineers, for example, or in technology studies, it's dropped down to ridiculous numbers when we talk about females, and these are professions for the future. So
okay, but if these are the facts at this moment, how can we break the facts? Steffi, is there a glass ceiling for women in your company?
I think in some areas there is, because in some areas it's a male world, and you normally tend to have a network of mini-me's that you put into the next position, and that is still not broken. So in some fields it's hard. And I think as a woman, in many cases, you already have to mean it. You really want to have it, and you want to go for it. And it's not natural that you climb up the ladder.
So it's motivation. You need the motivation to break that ceiling.
Exactly.
Okay. And is that enough? Ulrike, do you think that will be enough? Good motivation to break the ceiling. Will it work?
I think there needs to be possibly, in addition, more training to give them the opportunity to learn what they need to know.
Glass breaking training.
However, to have training. To have the knowledge to break it through. I think there can be much more done for sure. Looking into the upper level, there are not that many women even in our company. Actually, it changed. Meanwhile, I think we have 31% women. That is even more than the years before. So it gets more and more, but it's slowly, changing. So there is still a lot to do, and we are not there. We have to.
Yeah. So motivation we have, training we have. Stefanie Dubois. What about the assumption that female leaders get stuck in middle management? They can be leaders, but they cannot make that extra step to top management. What do you think about that?
That's something I've been thinking about quite a bit, and I think it's inherent to the very phrase female leadership. We attribute female qualities to women in leadership for the sole reason that they're women. Just because you're a woman does not mean you have more empathy. You can be a man and be very nurturing. So these qualities that are perfect for middle management and that are usually attributed to women but are not exclusive to women are a thing that tend to get us a little bit stuck in middle management, and it means that right now a company like SAP is doing a lot of work to promote females hiring and promotion, but we're stuck at middle management. There are very, very few at board level.
Okay, and is that the glass ceiling that prevents you to break through, or is it the talent of the female leaders, the women that are in leading positions, that will confine them to the middle management positions?
It's the perception. It's their own perception as well as the perception around them that the qualities that are inherent to them being women mean they're perfect for middle management and not perfect for executive positions.
Okay.
I don't think that's true, but.
So what do you think is true?
I think women are just as capable as men. And I think both men and women have to become aware of that.
Mm-hmm. So if you would choose what a better phrase or term or concept would be for female leadership, would it be feminine leadership or would it be leadership by women?
It would be leadership by women or women in leadership. I would not put an adjective on it. Just being a woman doesn't describe who you are. At
Okay.
least it's a brand.
Someone's family is calling now. I see. I can see you. I can see you. Can you wave at me?
Sorry, that was my colleague. I thought I've killed that tool, but it seems it works in the background.
No problem. And never kill your colleagues because you need them. Tata, let's go to your male world of football.
Yes.
You told me every year there's new people in your football clubs, in your federation. You have to deal with a lot of men in your working surroundings, and every year you have to fight the same fight for your position as a female leader. How can you manage? How do you survive?
Yes. Actually, first of all, I want to continue Stefanie's quote about leader women's or women's in leadership, and just to highlight my point about how we support each other on workplace, because I think we are not too good in our places, and we need to more support each other in our workplace.
Who is we? When you're
women.
talking about we, who is we?
I mean women in workplaces, because we need to improve our support to each other, because of course men can obligate, or men can give us some quotas for work, or to give us some frame how to manage our ability of working in working places, but still we need to help each other, first of all in our ordinary life, in our ordinary places where we are working. And this is the one of the basic issue, I guess, for every woman who is working and who's stuck in the middle, because of unlikable poor support from other women also.
So what?
It's not only about men, and this is my point.
If you talk about this position and this change, would you agree with Ulrike that training would help? And maybe not even training in skills, but also training in the outlook on your own position.
Yes. We need to communicate opportunities. We need to nominate women leaders by ourselves. We need to do it. We need to speak up, and this is our job first of all.
Okay. So this is our, and this is we, you say. Angeles, would it help women to have a kind of men and women fight for positions? Is it a war?
No, of course no. It's not a major factor, It's not a major gender. It's not the main factor. Of course, it's not. But still, we need to support each other much better than we are doing now. Still.
That's it.
I understand that. I was just teasing, of course.
Yeah.
But it can be the experience that some women and some men have, that they have to fight for positions. Your outlook on this, Angeles?
Well, I mean, we should fight for positions in the same level. The statistic says that if one man applies to one position, there has to be two women to have to the same position application to have the same opportunities. That's a big thing. I think that's not fair, because talent has no gender. Talent is talent with no gender attached to that. And as Stefanie was saying, it is not. It's no 100% guarantee that a woman has empathy and that a man has no empathy, or different type of talents that we assume as female or as male we have. So I think in order to continue the conversation with Tata, I think we need to feel that ambition is something positive. I think we criticize a lot ambition. If we see one woman that it's very ambitious nearby us, we start talking bad things about other women. And we need to start being very strong in saying our opinions and being very clear. And that's not a bad thing. And there is a terminology, for example, that it's like when you see a woman that is very bossy, you call her bossy. And it's like very, very strange concept, and we need to stop doing this type of things. No, it's good to be ambition. I was telling you the other day that I would love to see a free world for females also to make the decision if they want to work, if they want to have a strong career or not, because it's incredible if you want to stay at home, that's also fine. But we need to feel free to make decisions, and right now it's not that easy.
Okay, so the choice for a career or the choice for a family should not block the other option out. You should be able to choose both.
That's it.
Hmm?
That's it.
Okay, good. One of you in our conversations said to me, if I have to be strict with my employees, I will tell them, I'm going to be a bit German now, and talk it very, make it very strict and very clear. Is strict leadership a cultural thing or a gender thing? What do you think?
I think it's a bit of both. I think there are cultures that talk different. We Germans, we are told to be very straight and sometimes to be rude. And I think the other way around, for women, you always assume that they have a softer approach, being more emotional, being more empathetic. But not all women are like that, and not all male are always straight and rude. So, and I think sometimes you have to be straight to come to the point. But my experience is that especially other women and men as well take it more serious and feel more annoyed if a woman is straight. And that's why I sometimes say, be brave. I don't mean it personal, but I come right to the point.
Okay, yeah. So when I think of the first leader I met in my female leader I met in my life, it was my mom, and she she had the skill of using different styles in leadership. She could be very strict, but she could also be very warm and empathetic, or a mix of those things. How come that we forget about these this mixture of different skills in leadership when we are getting into our careers?
But do we really forget it? I don't think so. A good leader does need to have it all, you know, and to be in all of it. I think we also need to think about self-confidence if it comes to ourselves, and all women employees, or all employees, to give them the trust to be self-confidence, give them the opportunity to be themselves and to decide by themselves whether they want to be more than they are actually working in, or whether they are good to go with what they are in, right? So I think that's really important.
So self-confidence is key here.
I think so.
To
be self-confident and trustful.
Yeah. Do we need, if we would teach our children to be self-confident, and if we would teach them that a mixture in male and female leaders is a normal thing to have, would we need a quotum? Would that be? Would we have the need for quota? Stefanie Dubois.
I do not like the idea of affirmative action, but I am afraid it is quite possibly a necessary step to accelerate the change, because will it happen naturally? Yes, but what, 50, 100 years? My daughter is going to be on the market in 15 years. I don't want to wait that long. So maybe it does go through a quota.
Okay, when and what would be a nice percentage? This was a question given to us by Elling. Thank you for the question, Elling. But to go into this somewhat deeper, what would a nice percentage be, and what would be the perfect period to have this quota? Stefanie?
At the end, it needs to be 50 by 50, to be honest, right? So
sorry, at the end?
Balance, yeah.
Yeah, it has to be balanced. So it's 50% and 50%. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And it does not have to be like limited. We have a lot of representation of females in marketing, in human resources, but lack of representation of females in other professions. And I think it has to be 100% balance. Balance that you go to school and you see teachers of both genders. Balance that you go to university and you see you're used to that. You go to the supermarket and it's balanced. You go to the bus station and it's balanced. The bus drivers are balanced. So everything has to be balanced because we are giving images gender in our society. Since we are little child, we are used to have women for one thing and men for other things, and then it's very difficult to accept rules and regulations from when you have a boss, for example, and it's a female, and you have never been in hands of a female telling you what to do. Then it's very difficult to accept that. So that's why we need to start integrating that, and for that, quotas will accelerate the process. As Stefanie was saying, I don't think any quotas. We just see the quotas as a way of accelerating the process and making that a reality. Otherwise, it's not going to happen.
Okay, let's look at Georgia for a moment. Tata, would quota work in your society?
Actually, let me continue the Angeles point that, yeah, I represent Eastern European country with really specific cultural traditions. And of course, we need quotas for this moment. And of course, I think that without quotas and without some obligations, of course, it's much better. But still, we need quotas now, especially in Georgia, because it's like a East European country with male retrograde situation. So yeah, we need for sure. But I totally agree with Ulrike and Angeles that quotas must be fair, and 50% on 50 must be, and not another quotation. I agree, because it must be equal for everyone. And a
good quotum would give us the structure to get there.
Yes, of course. Yes, of course.
Yeah. I want to add to this discussion what Chris Viganotti tells us. Thank you, Chris, for this remark. She says, well, it's an unfair deal, because as long as women still have to do shopping, cooking, take care of our children, we have a lot more tasks than our men. So there should be a balance, maybe a quotum in our family life as well for the tasks that we have to do. What do you think about that, Steffi? What if you think about a quotum at home? Would that be something that would solve things?
Well, I at least hope you're smart enough to marry someone who is willing to take half of the responsibilities. So at least for me, it always was very important. And my husband really sometimes takes more than half of the share. And we are always discussing how we can distribute work evenly among us. And I think that's the first thing we can change, because that's our own choice.
Mm-hmm.
I always said that the most important decision you made in life is not what career you study, is the partner you choose for life. So that's probably impacting in your whole life forever. So it's super important that the life is balanced. And I always said that. So my husband works part-time. He's the one taking care of almost everything at home and the children's, and I'm never at home. I wanted to focus in my career, and this was a decision agreed. So once I had all the children, it's like, okay, now it's time to take care of that. And that's super important. That's what makes us happy. Mm-hmm. And that's extremely important to happen at home, because you give an image of a different type of structure also. So these children's raised up already with a different example. So they will be able or capable to replicate that example in the future. Otherwise, it's very difficult.
Okay, so there you have two opportunities within your family. So you both do what you want to do. There's space or room for your partner and for you to do what you want to do. But it's also a good example for your children. Is that the solution, maybe? Would that be the solution to gender equality, to give the examples to children at a very young age?
one lever. Yes,
One.
it's an important one, and it's, as Angeles was saying earlier, it starts at home, but it also goes to school, television, representation, the shops. There are, I mean, from a very young age, the differences are screaming. I have twins, a boy and a girl, and I can see the difference in their own environment. And it doesn't matter how hard my husband and I try to, give them an example of equality and mutual support, and their surroundings are biased constantly. Their teachers are always women, or 90% of the time. The gifts they get, my son will get science kit, while my daughter gets bracelet making kit, and it's so obvious and infuriating somehow. But we try to get them to see that, become aware of it. But it really starts very young and from every aspect of society.
Okay, yeah. So that's where the first examples can be seen for children. And just to make your example very clear, your daughter also wants this science kit, and maybe your son also wants to make nice bracelets.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Elena tells us in the chat that the worth of women at work needs to be acknowledged by the male colleagues. So how about female leadership having an imprint on the people that you lead? Someone once told me that if you criticize a female employee, if you are a female and you're criticized by your boss, and your boss is a man, you will hear, "My boss doesn't like my work." And if you are a female employee and your boss criticizes you, and your boss is a female, you will hear, "My boss doesn't like me." How do you work with that? That would be a bias that can be overcome that would be very difficult to overcome. Steffi?
That's true, because you have your personal attitude, and I think it's always better to be yourself. And me, for example, I'm rather straightforward, and sometimes I'm very short. That doesn't mean I don't like the person or I don't appreciate the work. That's just at the moment I'm very busy and I'm focused, and let's go that way. So my learning was to take more time, to explain more, to take the people on the journey, which is sometimes difficult because it's not really me, but I figured out it's necessary to get understanding.
Okay, so would it be an opportunity for female leaders in top positions to teach their male middle managers to be more what a way to put this, to acknowledge the value of their female employees much more? Could you change your, maybe educate your middle management? Ulrike?
I think that's something very personal for me. I don't think you can just take it and take it for another person as well. And I would say, no matter if male or female, it's always very important to appreciate the work of your colleagues, of your employees, and to show that. And that would be valid for both for me.
Okay. Ulrike, for you?
So within there, we are actually, we started a program where you are able to choose a person in upper management as your coach, right? And there you have the opportunity actually to even ask the women leaders to do so. And I actually try to do that. So I think this is important to learn from the ones that are already in upper management. How do you do your work? What is it? How you actually train your people? How do you speak with them? What would you do different in what situation? I think that can help for sure. And that's again the training that I mentioned in the beginning, right? It depends on how to use the opportunities you have and share the knowledge and learn from each other.
Okay, and what is the effect of it? What do you see happening? Are people choosing more male than female leaders, or mentors?
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest. It's possibly, it's possibly, maybe more women try to talk to women. I don't know, but I try to be honest. That
Would
was
be
interesting to
interesting
me.
to see the result of that.
Yeah, let's see.
Okay, so if I would ask all of you, each of you, what would you change in your society, in your company? Tata, what would you change?
Maybe I will start with education. I will start with education of myself and others outside of my office and inside of my office. Pay it forward and mentor other women, and not only women, but my employees and my colleagues, male part of the staff, for sure. Invite other interesting and professional women from other markets to share knowledge, what they have, because this experience is brilliant and we need to share it. And this conversation is also really, really good chance and good opportunity to share our experience and to speak up and tell other women that we need to share our experience and our maybe some kind of downs and uppers and happy moments, how we manage all these tricky things in our workplaces. So this talk is brilliant for me and maybe for other our watchers on live streaming, because yes, we need to speak up. We need to speak up much higher and much louder, because this is the biggest challenge and biggest issue for our generation. And this COVID period, like a really, really big crisis, which we need to not waste this crisis. We need to use it as an opportunity to speak up. And yeah, this is my point.
Yeah. And help it by sharing experiences and make it a peer learning.
Yes.
Okay. Angeles, what would you change?
Definitely, I will change education. I think we need to be, we need to share. I think from senior female leaders or women that want to really to share, to coach younger generation, to talk to them, be very transparent, make them feel that we went through all exactly the same problems that they are facing. It's nothing different. I've got that many times the question is, how do you manage? It's not easy. I don't look at me and think it's super easy. It's super complicated. It's super difficult. And at the end of the day, you do it. So the more you explain that and the more you help other people to understand that they go through the exactly same difficulties in job positions, in meetings with other males. I've been owner of my company since I'm 26. So I made the decision always to be entrepreneur and my own boss, because I don't think I can work with in bigger organizations. I've never tried, but I'm super scared of this type of situations. And it's not easy to be seated in tables only with male. Now it's getting better because I'm getting old. But when I was young, it was super difficult, and I always looked younger than I am. Not anymore, but before. And it was super, super difficult to raise your voice, to be heard, to be taken serious. So why don't we tell younger generations that we have been through that we struggle managing houses and careers and in your personal life, also your me time is very difficult. We need to tell them. And I would love, if I can make a wish, is that we stop talking and we start doing. And we really create movement of helping younger generations become stronger, on show their ambitions, and talk very clear on what they want, and that they want to make decisions free of what they want to do in their lives. And this is my wish in life. Huh?
Okay, so this is balance again that you talked about before, in being able to choose for your family and for your career at the same time.
Yeah.
And a nice advice here: get older, because that helps. Get older. That's a good advice.
Yeah, that's a good advice. It's not only wrinkles, you get a lot of experience.
Ulrike, I see Sjoerd Wijkamp in the chat. Tell us about, he thinks that there are a lot of female leaders in the events industry, especially because women are used to making this world work-life balance. They are very good and skilled at that. So if we look at this period of time and we need more, like he says, motivators, people with a vision, would that make a big change to the percentage of women being in leading positions? What do you think?
I think women are really good managers, as we heard already, right? Because they need to manage.
Thank you for the compliment, Sjoerd.
They need to have trust to others, and they need to empower others to get their work done. So I think this is a good example of how we can actually get more leaders in other areas too. And I think it's all about empowerment. Does mean what Tata already mentioned in earlier. So we need to empower other women too to actually give them the opportunity to stand up and be themselves and get leaders. So I think there is a lot in trust, cooperation, empowerment, all of that, and at the end of the day, the self-confidence that we all need to have to do that.
Okay, but that's not something that you can buy, self-confidence. How can you get more? How can you become more self-confident?
Education.
By getting empowered by others.
So you should ask others to empower you.
Actually, your leader has to empower you, and that's a point, right? Your leaders need to be able to empower you to be more self-confident.
So this is interesting. Now you're saying that if you want to become a good leader, you should go to your own leader and tell him or her, lead me in a better way.
That would be the best solution, yeah, and I think so.
Okay, so that's something that you would like to change? That would be the change that you want to see?
Maybe for others. So I'm good, to be honest.
Yeah, okay.
And I was happy to have a good leader that gave me the self-confidence, to be honest. But yes, it's possibly something that others do need more.
Stefanie Dubois, what would you like to change?
Oui.
I think Stefanie Dubois is frozen. No, I can see you moving now. I think your camera has a little problem. Did you hear my question? I think there's something wrong with the connection now. We just wait for a few seconds just so you can think about my question. Steffi Winter, what would you like to change?
I think in my company, there are a lot of great initiatives going on to educate people, to change behavior, to make aware of unconscious and conscious bias. When I could change something, I think it would be a quota for upper management, because there we're still a bit behind. And I would say women in lead will make other women follow just by being a role model and by doing things a bit differently.
Okay, so in your own, you think that's feasible in your company? Would the board be ready to do that?
I know that there is a change going on, and we will have a CEO change later this year. And I know that our new CEO, in his old role, used to say, if you show me a qualified man, then at least show me one qualified woman. So I'm quite sure that things will change a bit.
Okay, so that would be an equal opportunity for the next CEO.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Stefanie Dubois, are you with us again?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, there's a little delay in what you say and what we hear, but I think we're good to answer the question. The question would be, what would you change in your company?
I would enroll more men to defend the cause. I think we need the awareness to be both with women and men. And men also are limited in their role, in the predefined role that has been assigned to them. And I think they also should want more options. They should want the option to stay home after a baby's born. They should want the option to stay home just because they feel like raising their kids themselves. And I think true equality will come when both want it equally.
Mm-hmm. So in the chat, we can see Jup de Kanter tell us about the example that she is in her own career, because she is a lecturer at the lecturer in meeting design. But we do not all only need female examples, but you tell us, Stefanie, that we also need male examples that will help women fight the equality fight.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So where do you find these men?
maybe they are in the audience and they want to connect.
Okay, so if you're in the audience and hear this and say, well, I'm male and I agree, I want to endorse this in my own company, please let us know in the chat. I see a comment by Elling. Elling says that he thinks it would help female careers if parental leave was split 50-50. So that's coming back to the family balance again. Would it help? And maybe that's true. I think, Angeles, you said your balance in your family is could be 50-50 if you wanted to. And Stefanie Winter, you told us the same. If you want to, with your partner, you could decide to make it 50-50. What about a governmental rule to make it 50-50? Would that help?
Yeah.
Ulrike? Yeah?
Actually, in Germany, Steffi, right? You know it too.
It's
In Germany,
indispensable.
we actually have that situation. You are able to choose whether the male or the female is actually at home during that period. So there is the opportunity already.
Okay, so it's done. Does it work?
I think there's still some lack of understanding. You can't put them all in the same pot, but I have heard of managers saying if to a male, if you want to go on parental leave, then I will stop your career, or you won't make any career in that company. So these are things that are happening still, and that has to change.
Mm-hmm. I saw you reacting, Stefanie Dubois. What do you think if you hear this?
I find that shocking for anyone to say something like this.
Yeah.
I think, the issue, the opportunities exist, but if men continue to be paid twice as much as women, who's going to stay home? The one with the lower income. So it's more complex than just creating the opportunity. You have to create the right context for people to be able to take advantage of the opportunity.
So it's not only equal opportunity, it's also equal pay that will help.
Well, the gap of payment is probably the background why this all is happening, actually, because when you have to make the decision who is going to stay at home, and at the end of the day is the one that pays the bills better. And it's a big thing that we don't get the same payments in general terms, in the same positions, actually. So this is now something that it's very much overlooked, and everyone is looking at this situation and controlling by law. And there is a lot of criticism about that, but until we don't fix that, things are not going to change. So it's little details. You said before, is that quotas only? Is that education only? It's like, no. It's everything that it's around, that we grew up with basic things, so simple things like, I don't know, when I was a child, there were no politician females. It was super normal to see in all the governments all over the world, only male. Or you couldn't see the presenters of the television, they were all male when I was a child. And this was the normal thing. And then we started implementing balance in many different things. And that's how we get used to that. No? So now is payment gap, the salary gap, that's a big thing. Mm-hmm. Another thing is, as Steffi was saying, if you present me one male talent opportunity for a job position, present me also a female, so that we can make the choice between the two genders. These little steps will change the thing in a global scale.
And with an equal opportunity there, you would be able to choose quality instead of gender, and without the bias for the mini-me.
Yeah.
Okay, Tata.
Let me add one point on leadership. We need leaders in our lives, or not. I think we need more coaches, good coaches, to become a leader. And every woman who's stuck in the middle management and middle stage of the management needs good coaches, not a leader, because leader can't teach you anything. He will just give you some directions, but you need a real, and we need to become coaches to our friends and colleagues, women, which are in the same places.
So you need
where we are now.
So you need to be coached in this, and you also have to share your own knowledge and your own acquirements. Okay, and should your coach be in the same profession, the same branch, maybe, or could you find your coaches elsewhere?
Actually, it depends on the industry, but of course, it must be linked somehow to the industry on which we are talking. For example, for football, coaching is like a basic. Good coach can give a life to a really good leader as a football player, and we know really good coaches in the history of football with a really good leaders on a pitch as a player. So yeah.
So that gives you a nice advantage, Tata. You know a lot of good coaches, so have these coaches coach all your female leaders.
Yes. Actually, this personal experience is equal and for every and unique for every industry, and especially for football. This unique experience, what football players, especially former players, have are really unique. And yeah, why not to share?
Okay. And are all coaches equally paid in Georgia?
No, of course no.
No, so equal payment is also a thing. Can you coach that, or should that be enforced?
It depends on professionalism, and yeah, of course it depends on career. So no, of course no.
Okay. So who of you, the 5 female leaders I see now on my screen, who of you is in the position to enforce equal payment in your company? Angeles?
It's my company.
Stefanie? No, Angeles, but you're in a position, but do you pay your female and male employees equally?
Oh, 100%. 100%. I don't look at gender for that. It's talent, is what they do and what they bring, and the value that they bring to the company and to the growth and success of the company is how they get paid. That's equal.
Okay, so for you, it's a check. You do that. Okay, that's good. I show you a good example here, Stefanie. Dubois, you raised your hand as well.
I'm part of the Workers' Council here at SAP France, and I work in the Gender Equality Commission, and we work very actively on catching up women that have been identified as lagging behind, coaching women on, helping them. Asking for a pay raise is something hard for everybody. It's particularly hard on many women. So that's the sort of things that we do, and I don't know if it qualifies as enforcing it per se, but there is definitely a company-wide effort to identify female that are paid less and catch them up.
Okay, catch them up immediately or over a few years?
Immediately is everywhere possible.
Okay, would that be the fear of many boards to make the decision to immediately pay women as much as they pay their men, because it would change the financial balance of the company?
I suppose some of them are afraid, but they shouldn't. They should do it because it's the right thing to do and because that's how you retain your talent.
Okay, yeah. So intention and financials. If you can do it financially, you should do it immediately.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, well, let's do so tomorrow. I want to ask you a final question. And I asked you the question, what would you change? And this is a changing the world or changing your company question. But now I would like to give our audience an advice what they should change in themselves, what they should change personally. We've been talking about bias, about the way the world looks upon us, the way our colleagues look upon us, the way we look upon ourselves as opposed to our colleagues or family members even. Boys and girls, you talked about your twins, Stefanie. So if we talk about bias, what would you advise our audience? Ulrike, what would you advise our audience?
To not think about too much about, is it a female or a male job? What is more important? I think it's really important to be more diverse in everything we do. Be more diverse and empower others. I think this is the main message I want to share.
Okay, thank you. That's a good advice. Stefanie Dubois.
My recommendation would be to start with a good deal of introspection, identify your own bias, acknowledge them, and work on it. That's something that's much more difficult than it sounds.
Yeah, that's the Greek motto, right? Know yourself.
Start there.
Okay, thank you. Tata?
For me, the rule is one and only. We need to stop dividing people, professionals, according to their gender, and we need to keep the focus on professionalism, motivation, dedication, and that's all. And no matter which gender we are, main criteria is our professionalism, and that's my main advice to our auditorium. So yeah.
Okay. So prioritize your outlook on differences in a different way.
Yes.
Okay. Good advice. Thank you. Steffi?
Besides what already has been said, which I would fully underline, I would say always be true to yourself and be clear on what you want and never shy away for asking for it.
If you do so, does it become easier when you've done it more often?
Yes, I would say. I think the first or the second time you have to overcome yourself, but then, especially if you experience that the answer is not categorized no, then you will be more confident and you will get more experience in asking for what you want.
Okay, typically personal leadership here.
Yeah.
Thank you. Angeles, what would be your recommendation?
Well, I think to overcome the situation we're going through right now of change, digital transformation, the new digital economy, we need conversations that are inclusive, to bring creativity, to bring solutions that will help us for the future. And inclusive means diverse, and we need to become confident and comfortable also to talk to another gender, and to talk go out of our comfort zone and make decisions in different directions. And diversity is now a must. And we need to push for that, because we need to bring different solutions to the table right now to overcome the situation we're going through at the moment.
Even in yourself as a person?
I think so. You need to test new things, open your mind, bring new ideas, open new conversations. And this is creativity, that's innovation, that go together with what the situation is asking us to do. And diverse conversations will be sometimes a little bit uncomfortable, because it's not the normal thing you have been doing all the time, but that's the way you will become very creative and very efficient in bringing right solutions.
I see people in the chat agreeing with you, Angeles. So thank you very much for your recommendation as well. And thank you all for participating in this panel. It was almost an all-female panel. That's not diverse, is it? So maybe next time, if we talk about female leadership, we should include some men talking about female leadership as well. And I know you all agree on this, because it's something we... But I love the panel. I loved your opinions, hearing your opinions and hearing your solutions as well. So thank you very much for your contributions to this panel and for female leadership in the world. Hope to see you next time. To our audience, thank you for watching. Thank you for adding questions and opinions in the chat. Hope to see you next time with our next Bea World panel discussion. And remember, you can still subscribe your events to the Bea World Experience, so you will take part in the award show. Maybe you can win nice awards if you can convince the jury, and especially Stefanie Dubois as the president of the jury. to give you that wonderful award. Until the 15th of September, there's an early bird period. So take advantage of that. Subscribe to the awards and watch again our next panel. I think it will be in the next month. See you again there. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Bye.